The calendar may have flipped to a new year, but the mission remains the same for United Way of Missoula County. Help as many people as possible. United Way of Missoula County casts a wide net, but the pandemic has forced the nonprofit to do some adjusting. That's the topic of today's Montana This Morning conversation with Chief Executive Officer Susan Haypatrick. Susan, thanks for joining us this morning. And I think the very first thing I want to ask you is, now that 2020 is behind us, how did you guys manage to survive? How difficult was that for your organization?
The key word of the pandemic seems to be pivot. We all had to pivot, whether we were a business or a nonprofit. And I am very proud of the way our United Way pivoted to respond quickly and nimbly to community needs. We were able to raise and distribute about $350,000 in the first several weeks of the pandemic. We continue to make grants to local organizations on the front lines. And we benefited from the payroll protection program, certainly, and from county funding. So public sector and private sector support kept us relatively strong.
When you talk about a lot of what you're pivoting to, was it mostly trying to help people with food and was it that type of an effort?
So our fund was geared principally to service and gig economy workers, our tip-dependent people who keep Missoula running, our servers, our hairstylists, Uber drivers, et cetera. And we made about 400 grants, about 800 grants of $400 each to folks who applied to our fund. And then we made another, $50,000 to $60,000 in grants to nonprofits on the front lines for those essential services you just talked about, food, shelter, whatever people needed.
So as you pivot, as you said, does that mean that some people maybe had to be left out? And I hate to use that term, but you had to focus your attention away from some areas of need, perhaps?
I would say that our regular work went on as much as we could continue it. Mm-hmm. Some of it we set aside in order to focus on these urgent community needs in this unprecedented time. So it was a combination, a hybrid model, to use another pandemic-related word.
All right, so what's ahead for you as you start the new year? Will it be, nose to the grindstone, similar to how you ended the year, or what do you anticipate?
Well, it's our 90th year of service to Missoula in 2021. So we're looking forward to celebrating that and also acknowledging that we have much work still to do. Like everybody, we are building a bridge of unknown length to an uncertain future, and we're walking over that bridge as we're building it. So we hope to stay strong. We know that we are very fortunate to live in such a giving community where giving back is a community value. We've been so grateful to Missoulians for remembering the less fortunate and the most vulnerable. And we look forward to continuing that work in 2021.
And before we go, I know it's important that we kind of not forget some of the partners that you're working with, and probably that has changed somewhat during the past year or so.
Absolutely. We have long and strong partnerships with many, many nonprofits. And I think the importance of those relationships was highlighted in the pandemic, where we all needed to collaborate and get things done for our community in new and unprecedented ways. And I am really proud of our nonprofit sector. I've never believed in the myth that you could do more with less, but our nonprofits really proved that they could do incredible work with limited resources in an unprecedented time. So I'm really proud of the whole nonprofit sector.
Susan, thank you very much for visiting with us today on Montana This Morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me.
United Way of Missoula is working on ways to celebrate its 90th anniversary this year.